Okay, so they say to start at the beginning, a very good place to start, but in this case, I'm not even sure where the beginning is. There are multiple theories that I have on this. It could go as far back as childhood and my grandfather, the Mason. Maybe. Probably not. Maybe. I don't know yet. Still working some of the details out, a lot of the details out. We'll start with what I know is concrete. The indisputable stuff. I forgot to look up the exact year, but circa 2006, 2007 or so, I got my first job at a tech company as a software developer. This is in Nashville, so it's, it wasn't a big working for Google or anything like that. It was a small to mid-size tech company owned by some wealthy Southern oligarchs, whose names I probably shouldn't mention. I'll just say that a million of you might have bought a book from them. So I got this job, and I was doing really well at it. The bosses considered me a rock star and all that, because frankly, I've got this autistic, I think it's autistic, I've never actually been diagnosed, but freak brain, as I call it. It's always been very naturally good at things like software development. I can picture big data sets in my head and that sort of thing, data structures in my head very easily. It's not even about the coding so much as picturing how it all works. So I was doing very well, and then a new employee came into work with us, who was brought in. She stopped over at a couple of other Nashville locations first, but she traced back to Netflix. So she was connected to the big Silicon Valley scene. And I didn't really pay much attention to her at first, because she introduced herself to me, and I got a pretty clear siren Jezebel kind of a vibe to her. So I didn't pay much attention to her, but then she got assigned to work directly with me, and we became like, work spouses, the work wife, work husband kind of a thing. We got very close and became, I thought, friends. Really good friends, I thought. But it became clear that she was interested in me, and she was love bombing me and all this kind of stuff, as people would understand it now. Waiting for someone to go by here. She was love bombing me, mirroring me. Eventually convinced me that that I'd caught feelings for her, but she was married, and I was not going to risk my job hitting on a married woman, or sleeping with her, or whatever, if that's all she wanted. The job was too important to me for any of that. But at the same time, another piece I have to tell you is I have also struggled with gender dysphoria issues. I'm fairly secure in my maleness now, but I have a very divine feminine side, undoubtedly. And I struggle with whether or not I might be trans. And in a moment of weakness, I confessed to her via email this fact, alongside the fact that I had feelings for her that I had no intention of acting on. That, I'll wait for somebody to go by again.
You were recording?
Yeah.
On TikTok?
No, just, yeah, we'll just edit out some of the stuff later, but, so yeah, I had no intention of acting on, and I tried to make this clear, but I had to stop hanging out with her, stop being friends with her, because it was driving me a little bit nuts, and I was drinking too much and so forth because of it. And that's the next day, I learned what a lie the friendship was, when I found myself in front of the boss, with her presenting a chopped up version, which has become Grand Central all of a sudden. I presented a chopped up, she presented to the boss a chopped up version of the email, They left out the transgender part, I think, but it made it look like I was hitting on her. And I got stern lecture about how you can't be hitting on the married woman at work and all this kind of stuff. And it became pretty clear to me that if I argued or fought this in any way, then I would be outed for the trans stuff. So, I stared at the floor and fucking took it. That's all I could do. Well, cut to 15 years later. 15-ish years later, whatnot. Because of that, basically, I don't even know how to put it. It's as if I was pining for her, but I wasn't. But the love bombing spell still kind of worked. I had feelings that, even though I knew she was a lying, words I'm not going to use in this particular video, I could still kind of rationalize it. Well, she was trying to protect her career, and as a feminist, I could see why, she'd do this. But she painted me as some kind of a nerdy stalker that I was not, and it messed with my head. I was gaslit basically for 15 years, and eventually, I started to break free of it. My time and distance, and I don't know what else. I finally started to break free of it. And of course, at the same time, I kept going with what I was doing, because to me, the tech job was always just a day job. I'm a musician, I'm a writer, I'm multi-creative, whatever I want to do. Kind of, it was always, the tech stuff was always just a day job to me. But once I broke free, that's when things really started to get weird. And I started to remember things. And we'll talk about that the next time.